Hello and welcome to the Majestic Devlog. This devlog continues with building out the new level, and in this one I am tackling the challenges of creating a large seaside city. So here is the block out for the city. And here's my building assembly that I left off with last time. So the benefit of creating a mega assembly such as this is it allows me to efficiently create a large city very quickly. I can have some variation by changing the scale on the X and Y axis. If I make these a negative value, I can flip the whole assembly around to generate a little bit of variance. This won't be the only building assembly, and there's a bit of work that needs to be done here that I've since discovered. So I've exported it as an FBX file. When I did that, I noticed there were artifacts in Blender, and then I started inspecting the building assembly closely in Unreal Engine. There were a lot of artifacts as well. Missing faces, missing triangles, and jagged edges. And I realized the merging process had compressed the mesh down and removed triangles, which is not something I wanted. I want it to be as high fidelity as possible. On the left side is the raw assembly before it's merged together. And then on the right side is the result of it being merged. And here at the windows, the curvature is jagged and there's some missing triangles. This is definitely not what I was going for. Now, what I'm doing is testing the modeling mode to merge together the mesh instead. When I do that, now on the right side, we can see there are issues with the materials being assigned to the wrong faces. However, when zooming in closely to the windows, it is in fact not compressed and looks as I would expect. It's a super clean mesh and no missing triangles. So after using modeling mode to merge together the structure, it does come with the downside that materials are not assigned properly. So I need to go through and painstakingly reassign them to the correct faces. Here's the windows, and around some of these windows, the glass panel material is actually assigned to the window frame. So now I'm selecting the window panels to assign the glass to those faces instead. And then I'll have to go and reassign the window frames to the wood material. So of course this is a bit of work I wasn't anticipating. Here I'm assigning various colors to each material to help me with the process. So after going through and assigning all the materials, I've now exported it from Blender and re-imported it to Unreal Engine and assigned all of the materials appropriately just to double check everything. So on the left side is the merged file with the incorrect assignments for the materials, and then on the right side is the fixed up mesh that I created in Blender. So now I'm at the point where I hope to have been after merging the meshes together. At this point, I am going to reduce the material slots. This technique I learned from the Prismatica Devlog channel, and I will link to that tutorial in the information below. So here back in Blender, I am creating a third UV slot. So this mesh has a light map UV, it has the UV map, and it's going to have a material map. And I'm creating a texture in Photoshop divided into 24 equally distributed strips. This will be a guide to where I'm going to map the materials. I go through each material, select all of the UVs, scale them down so that they can fit within a single strip, and then move all the UVs to that strip. And when I'm complete, I delete every single material from the mesh and then create a brand new material which will be the master material for the mesh. So while going through this process, I ended up reserving 6 strips for windows. And this is how I'm going to randomize which windows illuminate. There are 80 windows on this object. I also ended up removing the ivy from the mesh entirely because the ivy is a masked material. It's not opaque. I wanted that to be its own object with its own masked material type. So having the windows spread out across 6 different sections, as each section is turned on, that'll turn on approximately 13 windows. So here it's finally all laid out with windows spread out across 6 different strips. So now with the UVs set up in this manner, I can bring it back into Unreal Engine and set up the material. So here is some of the material. So how it works is there's a material function that basically creates the 24 strips in the material. And then I created another material function to plug in the textures for each type of material. And all these strips get added together and then plugged into the final material output. And you get a material that looks something like this, with each slice being a different type of material. Again, I'll link to the tutorial to show you how you can do this on your own. Now I can go in and set the emissive for each window section, and the windows for that section will turn on. I can also adjust the colors for every type of material, which includes each building that is in this merged mesh. And I can create different material instances with different color setups. And then I can have a nice randomization of colors throughout my city while keeping the same mesh, but only having a few different material instances. Here's a look at the shader complexity. It is a darker green as opposed to the bright green. So at this point, I needed to hook up the buildings to my building manager, which finds all the buildings in my level. I have this one actor controlling the windows because I want to avoid having every single building actor having to have a timer or tick function. So in my building manager, I have a timer that's currently set on a 10-second interval. And every 10 seconds, it's going through all the buildings, and it's selecting a set number of buildings from the array. I then put it through a loop and randomly determine if the windows should be turning on or off, dependent upon the time of day. And here's how the larger blocked out city looks. So at this point, that wraps up one building assembly, and I need to create several more assemblies to have a nice variation of buildings in my city. Before wrapping up, I wanted to do a little bit with the roads. I got this cobblestone road from Quixel Megascans, and it simply comes in a short, straight version, but I want to get some curved versions of it. So the easiest way for this was to use modeling mode again. And here I'm just going through a quick block out of the road. And this is just a quick mock-up of how one section of street might look. Filling in the gaps with some piers. I'm also warping those to follow the bend of the roads to fill in the gaps nicely. And overall, I feel the final result looks pleasing. So this might be how I do the remaining of the city. But again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I do want to put in different building structures in here, and I don't want to set all these roads down and then have to change them all. So this is just a quick mock-up of how things might look eventually. This city will be something that's a work in process for many months to come, and I'll continue to come back to it and expand it and build it out over time. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.